You want to influence other people? You want to lead other people? You need to serve them. You need to wash their feet as Jesus washed their feet in whatever way that is in our culture, in our day, and whatever is necessary for people's lives. And how do I influence a person towards Christ? And again, not selfish motives, not manipulation for my desires. How do I move them towards Christ? I do that by serving them. By from the heart of purity saying, I want what's best for this person. I want to bless them. I want to help them. I want to move them toward their relationship with Christ. So how can I do that? Well, I'll do that by serving them, by loving them, by taking care of them, and whatever else it might be, speaking the truth to them when it's hard to speak the truth. I want what's best for you. So what does that look like? Well, sometimes serving other people to lead them toward a relationship with Christ or lead them deeper in the relationship with Christ. Sometimes we serve one another by teaching others what Christ is teaching us. So as I'm talking to God, as I'm calling on Him, as I'm reading His Word, and as I'm living this life with Him, hey, I just want to share with you what He's doing in my life. Right? That's actually a way of serving other people. Yeah, you're teaching them, you're discipling them, but you're also serving them in that moment. What's another way? Well, sometimes we serve one another by taking time out of our day just to check on somebody. How you doing? How's it going? Haven't seen you in a while. Hey, I know you were sick. Hey, I know your husband, your wife, that they weren't doing well. Like, we check on each other. That's a way of serving each other. Sometimes we serve one another by speaking a difficult truth from a heart of love and desire what's best for them. Sometimes we think that, serving and loving each other is just being nice all the time. And unfortunately, being nice is not always biblical if you're not telling the truth, right? If you're not loving them in a way that leads them towards Christ. You can be kind about that way that you do that. You ought to be kind. But sometimes it hurts to speak the truth, but you're doing it in love. Sometimes we serve one another by exercising the gifts that God has given us in our life. Maybe that's in the setting of the church, singing, playing instruments, greeting, cooking, preaching, discipling, mentoring, coaching, whatever. Maybe that's just out in everyday life. You're using the skills that you have to pour into that person's life and help them in a way that maybe they don't have those skills or whatever. All of these ways of serving one another and more can be carried out to those inside the church and outside the church, but they become opportunities for what? For influencing each other toward Christ. And I want to show you how in just a moment. So, over the past few weeks, we've had some what I'll call extracurricular activity in our church parking lot. We've had a couple of vehicles out there that were either broken down or temporarily being stored out there. And there was two different vehicles that were out there. One was a travel trailer, and the other one was a car that was broken down. And so let me just tell you about those vehicles and the stories behind them. So the first of all was the travel trailer. So a few weeks ago, it was Friday, 5 o'clock. Pastor's human, and he's like everybody else. He's wrapping up my day, and I'm going to head home. And just as I'm getting ready to leave the church, a lady pulls up in a car, and she begins to ask for permission. And, it's 5 o'clock, it's Friday, and kind of ready to go home, but I'm like, okay, there's a lady with a need here, so I need to focus. Jesus, give me your heart and your mind, and let me be your hands and feet here. So she asks, she's middle-aged, and she asked about her dad parking his trailer in our parking lot for a couple of weeks, because he had just moved from out of state. He moved in the apartments next door, and his trailer needed repair, but also they needed to find a lot to store it to. He's a veteran. My guess is about 75, and he's got some real limitations physically because of his time in the military. And so I said, you know what? Let's do it. 2 weeks, I'll check back if it's still here, see how it's going. So about the same time, a car showed up in our parking lot without permission, and it was broke down, and so we were getting ready to head to kids camp. And so, which was awesome, by the way. And so I put a note on the car like we typically do, which is, hey, We're trying to give them, we don't want to tow anybody's vehicle if we don't have to. So we say, hey, 24 hours, if you can move it, it's going to be towed. And it also gives the person a chance to kind of reply back with a note or something or call the church if they want to try to make different arrangements or whatever so it doesn't get towed. So anyway, I got into kids camp, totally forgot about the car. Got back from kids camp, it was still there. But there was a note on the car, and it was from the person who owned it. And so I looked at the note, started reading it, and they're basically saying, thank you so much for not telling us right away. Here's my number. Could you contact me? Here, I want to explain why the car's there and what we're doing and whatever. So the long and short of it, the car was broke down. They'd lost the keys. It was a whole thing. And I hear a lot of stories as a pastor, as you can imagine. And you kind of get a feel, Is this a story, or is this actually, there's just discernment, I think, that comes over time with these things and the Spirit of the Lord. And so my discernment was, this is the real thing. This is really what happened here. And so anyway, after I had a conversation with them, gave them some space and time. After about 2 weeks, it was like, okay, both vehicles are in the parking lot, still there. I need to contact everybody and just see where things are moving, if we can continue to move things forward towards solutions for them. And it just so happens that on that day, both the owner of the trailer and the owner of the car were in the parking lot at their respective vehicles. And so I said, well, let me just go outside and talk to him then. So I go outside and I talked to the gentleman who's the veteran with the trailer. And two things stand out to me, because I hadn't met him. I'd only met his daughter, but I knew about him. I saw him from a distance when we had the first encounter. He was very crippled. He couldn't walk very well at all. He also had a significant difficulty speaking, and I could only understand about half of the words. And it was because he had gotten, the story he shared with me, he had gotten nerve damage in his military time back when he was 19 years old, and he'd kind of been this way for the most part since then. And so it just turns out that day he actually was having somebody come to take the trailer and to get it to where its next place is and get it fixed and all that. So the trailer was leaving that day. But as he was sharing with me about his condition, he broke down and started choking up and tearing up, and he just expressed over and over again how thankful he was that his church allowed him to park his trailer there for a couple weeks till he get his life and situation together. He just moved here. But he clearly was impacted by the encounter of letting him stay there, but then our conversation. And so what stood out to me was the Lord is speaking to this man in this situation about his goodness and his kindness. And I had the chance to share some of that with him. And he was being influenced to move towards Christ, wherever he was with the Lord. At the very same time, there's two ladies who are in a relationship with each other. This is their car. They're right there as I'm talking to him, and he's choking up. I mean, just a short distance, 30 feet apart. And so I go over after I finish up with him, I go over and I talk to them. And they explain the situation again, and it all makes sense. Everything's adding up, including the numbers of costs. So I recognize they can't get this thing out of here without keys, and they don't have the money to get a locksmith to have keys made. And if you get a locksmith to have keys made, you got to show your registration and all that, so we know it's not a stolen vehicle or something, because I've had that happen before, by the way. Helped somebody out to realize their car was stolen. That was at another church. Learned a little bit since that time. So these two ladies, who are in a relationship that we would say the Lord is not blessing, this isn't a godly relationship. And yet, as we talk to them, they explained to me the situation. I said, I tell you what, thought about it, prayed about it a little bit, and I thought, what if the church covers your getting you a set of keys made? So again, you got to show proof of registration and all that. That'd get you one step down the road. The car still wasn't running and all these other problems, but at least to get closer. And it was a couple $100, it was not nothing. And so we don't just do that, on a whim. But so I help them out. Locksmith comes out within an hour, gets the car going, and start talking to the one lady, and she starts bawling. And she says, I kind of been on again and off again in my relationship to the Lord. And we talk about God for a while, and she insists on trying to help pay me back. And I said, listen, here's the deal. This is a good example of what Christ offers to us. Forgiveness, right, for our sins and the wrong things we've done. And we can't pay him back. We can only embrace the gift, and then that kindness of God turns us from our sinfulness towards life with him. So I had the chance to share the gospel with this lady, and she's the tears are flowing, and it's genuine. She's not putting on the water. There's no reason to. I've done helped her already. And what's happening? Influence is happening. How is influence happening? By serving. I'm serving the guy with the trailer. I'm serving these ladies with the car. And each of them are, in my estimation, taking a step toward Christ, moving closer to relationship with God and finding life in him. And I think that Jesus is saying, this is how it works. You want to influence other people? You want to lead other people? You need to serve them. You need to wash their feet as Jesus washed their feet in whatever way that is in our culture, in our day, and whatever is necessary for people's lives. And so we just see this idea that when we serve other people, we can influence them. The ladies who are praying for Moody, they're serving him by praying for him. They're loving him. They're influencing him, and his life changes dramatically. And Jesus says, this is supposed to be every one of our lives, to be servant leaders to one another and to people that are far from Christ.